Hello and welcome. My name is Erity Green. I'm so happy to have you here. I am an intuitive oracle and tarot card reader, as well as a coach, guide, and mentor supporting leading women to create authentic and fulfilling wealth and success in their lives, leadership, and legacy work. So that's the work that I do, and today I am bringing all of you predictions for 2021, as well as a message for the collective. So if you are here, this message is for you. And of course, it's for the collective. So I do want to share and offer that disclaimer that not everything in this reading will apply perfectly to you, but please use it to apply to your own life experience. So my readings tend to be more psycho-spiritual, so they will focus mostly on the personal and spiritual growth aspects of 2021, as well as any other messages that want to come through. But many times we receive things that I don't even foresee because I'm just the vessel. I'm not the one creating the messages. So I encourage you to pull up with your cup of tea, if you so prefer, as they say, or a coffee. My preference is chai, some water, maybe your yoga mat, and just listen in and enjoy this 30 minutes with me. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first cards here that I pulled will be focusing on what is to come in 2021. So the first thing that you want to remember is that what you are experiencing is an untethering from the old. There's an opportunity here for deconditioning and deprogramming. So what that means is that we are going through a mass transit as a collective that's sort of peeling back the layers of that onion. And if you're an awakened or conscious intentional being, you've already been doing this, right? This might be new for a lot of people on this planet, but please know that for you, because you're watching it and watching this today, this is relevant for you too. We'll be peeling back more of those layers for you to really uncover who you really are or deeply truly are and what it is that you truly want. Right? So really understanding where you want to create from in your life and what you want to experience and what's most important to you. So there's a lot of limitations that are coming up to be cleared and or released so that we can make a conscious choice to decide as both individuals as well as a group on planet Earth, are these the rules we still want to live by? Is this the motto we still want to live by, right? Are these the ways of life we still want to live by? So these kinds of things will be coming up for you in 2021, but what I want you to know about that is what you see in the external world, that's going to be what you are reflecting on, but within yourself. So there is a reminder here that no matter what you see outside of you, that it is in fact an opportunity to look inside of you to see if there's a limitation in place that might want to release, right? Because any limitation wants to expand into its fullest potential for love. Everything wants to become its highest potential. Everything wants to expand its capacity for love, right? That's the whole journey of the human experience. And so any limitation that we see out here or in here is something that does want to blossom fully and mature more into greater love, a greater capacity for love. So make sure that when things are happening outside of you in your personal life or even on the world stage, that you're recognizing the opportunity for growth for you. And there's a reason why this is necessary, because it helps us sort of unhook, untether ourselves or detach or distance ourselves from the things that are happening out here. And it helps us with our emotional responses too, right? And how our nervous system then responds. It really supports us to remain in peace when we recognize that whatever is happening on the world stage is just an opportunity for us to do some self-discovery work and some self-growth. So that's the first thing that's coming through. Now, there is a message here about some kind of influx of some kind of awakening. So this could be, I know we've been hearing some of this, in terms of energy and astrology and things happening cosmically. So I'm not well versed in that stuff, but what I'm seeing here is a lot of light that's coming through onto our planet and within each of us. So this is going to awaken parts of ourselves that perhaps we weren't aware of before. It's going to definitely shine light on any seeming limitations or things that are really holding us back from who we truly are and our capacity for love. So anything in the way of love will also show up. But the good news is any latent gifts or parts of you that you weren't currently aware of, or things that just need to come up and be revealed to you, will most definitely be revealed to you. Now, of course, though, this is happening on not only a personal level, but a collective level. So this is a grand awakening, even a grand reawakening. That feels more articulate there. There's a reawakening happening, something that's even grander that is going to be surprising for a lot of us. So the awakening though might happen in many different ways depending on who you are and where you're at in your journey. For some people, it looks like they're coming into more creative expression, recognizing more of their spiritual gifts, recognizing more of their latent desires, things they just simply weren't aware of before. Some people are going to be stepping more into their purpose and into their voice and really holding and owning their own. So however this looks for you uniquely, is how it's meant to be and land for you uniquely, because everyone's going to awaken differently. But this is both a mass and personal awakening. There's a lot of light coming through, and it's going to be surprising for us. There is enough of a change that we're going to feel it and we're going to notice it. So this is for 2021, right? We're talking about, we're going to be releasing things of the past, continuing to release limitations from the past, continuing to release ways of the past and things that limited us as a person, limited us as a humanity, limited us as a planet in terms of how much we could really evolve into, because there's this message of, and I recently connected with someone and this message came through, and so I'm adding it here because it feels relevant, that Earth doesn't have to be the planet of hard knocks. It just doesn't. This does not have to be the school of hard knocks. This can be just like any other planet or dimension that is full of possibility and full of love and wealth and abundance for all. Earth has the potential to be that way. It's us as a humanity. We are the ones who decide what this planet looks like from here forward. And there's a lot of light coming in to really support people to see not only what's possible, but what's in the way of what's possible, so that can be released and new futures, new horizons can be chosen. Now it is saying though, there are going to be, just like we see now, perhaps mainstream narratives or cultural messaging or other norms or things that come through that could incite fear. Because of this mass awakening, what's going to come up? Of course, everything in the way of that awakening. So anything that is at the subconscious realm, or even anything that is specifically against this awakening happening, and some people might be aligned with that agenda, or they have their own share of personal intentions around this, whatever. But things come through that may not always look pretty, and some people, or even some things come up naturally that again are in the way of our awakening. And you want to remember to stay centered in your own power. So what I am seeing here and what I am saying is this. In 2020, we've experienced a lot of this cultural narrative and messaging that didn't feel good, right? And there's some scary things happening, and rightfully so. And yet we want to make sure we stay centered and anchored in our own power, and that we aren't swayed into more fear, and that we truly own our own truth. And there's a card coming up here, and I'm just going to make sure I talk about it now because it feels relevant. Our job is to listen to our own truth. We have two cards here speaking to the very same message, that's saying essentially the truth isn't out there, and you're not going to find it out there, especially because this awakening is happening, especially because since an awakening is happening, everything's going to come up in the way of that first so that it can be released. And so it's going to be very difficult to gauge truth. If you're looking out here on the world stage, it's going to be very difficult for you to recognize where the truth lies, okay? And now I would say that many of you are intuitive and connected and well aware and attuned enough to recognize, but not all of us are. So that's why I recommend taking that time out, and that's what it's saying. In 2021, it's important that you take the time and create the space and just make it a priority to listen to you. You are the number one source of your own truth. Out here might look messy, it might look chaotic. Okay, there might be things that continue to happen like in 2020. And maybe not, but I am getting the message here that there are going to be at least attempts for more fear-based messaging or more fear-based narrative. And again, right, that's just stuff, what we recognize as, and what the reading is saying, that's just stuff coming up in the way of the awakening. Non-issue, no big deal. It doesn't have to be a big deal. We don't have to make it a big deal. We just recognize, unsubscribe, just like in our emails. And we're going to subscribe to what we know is true, from our own truth, from within, from source, which never offers fear. Okay, there might be valid reasons to fear on planet Earth. As a human, as Erity, I don't want to say, don't fear the lion that's in your way on the mountaintop. No, clearly, follow your own instincts. Trust your human, walk with your human, and recognize that when there is a lot of stuff happening out here, especially when it's chaotic, and especially when there's a lot of new energy coming through, so a lot of other stuff is going to be coming up, it's difficult to gauge truth. So that's why you want to go inside, and you want to be participating on the right side of history. okay? You want to be one of the ones in the collective that's walking in truth and honoring truth and helping to support more of this lighter energy or vibrations or whatever we want to call it to be integrated and anchored here on earth. We don't want to be one of the ones that are getting caught up and subscribing to, again, some of those more fear-based narratives or messaging. That's not our job as the light worker. That's not our job as the love bringer, as the pioneer, as the trailblazer of the new age. It's just not. And I think you all know that. So I probably don't have to dive in too deep here, but it does say here, there might be times where, again, so you want to be focusing on your own truth. We talked about that. And we now have a third card that's asking us to pay attention to our intuition. Now, I will say for some of you, there might be an opportunity or there might be an experience where it's like, oh, hey, you know, it's like the whole spilled milk thing. Are we going to cry over spilled milk? And it doesn't mean that our feelings aren't valid. If we want to cry over spilled milk, we certainly can. Please do cry over your spilled milk. I recently cried over my $5 pair of sunglasses that I broke by accident. I get it. Grieve what we got to grieve, okay? But we don't remain there, okay? We don't get stuck there. And again, we don't lose ourselves to the fear momentum and these base emotions momentum and all that stuff that's at a high right now because of all of these changes and because of this mass awakening. Instead, we allow ourselves to feel, we allow ourselves to heal if that's what needs to happen, and we can get support if we need it. Let's lock arms together. Let's support each other. We are, right, again, the paradigm bringers, the trailblazers, the pioneers. We need support too, and we're going to be doing a lot of the quote-unquote work of bringing about this new age or new era or however you identify or label this next chapter in humanity. So get the support if you need it to be able to lock it in and anchor into some of these lighter frequencies, lighter energies, and remain in a place of non-fear, remaining in a place of love as best as you can. Feelings are going to arise. Feel how you feel, but we're making the choice to not remain there, right? We can subscribe to the earth that is mired in fear, or we can subscribe to the new earth, if we want to put it plainly, right? And if we can call that 3D earth and 5D earth, whatever labels you want to put on it. I tend not to use those labels because I like to say really earthly and grounded, but these are some of the language, this is some of the language that we have to communicate what I'm sharing here. So in 2021, there's going to be some clearing out of the old, additional opportunities to really take a look at ourselves and decide what we want to bring forward with us. There might even be some shocking or surprising shifts in our own lives and on the world stage. And that it's really this spiritual awakening or reawakening that's happening. And for a lot of us, it'll be coming more into our gifts, coming more into our talents and skill sets and our purpose work or our purpose path. We're being asked to make sure that we remain anchored in our power and sourced from truth, and that we're participating consciously in the future we want to create, as opposed to falling for other narratives that may perpetuate experiences that we don't love or don't like or that don't feel good, and continue to remain centered in your own truth and intuition. That's where you need to go. That's where you need to look. And then if you have any needs for support, then go get that. Okay, so the next set of cards is all about what you need to know. Okay, so there's a couple things here about staying focused on your own life, on the present moment, what's already here in your life. So I'm not sure what it feels like there's another energy here. We'll see through the layers of the reading if more comes through. But there's this opportunity to remember what you do have. Okay, so maybe something happens that makes us fearful, or again, just like in 2020, where everyone started buying toilet paper and all of this crazy stuff started happening, and people started, again, living in that scarcity mentality. And some people lived in scarcity in terms of, and I felt this for myself, of being away from social networks and friends and family and loved ones. These are not only opportunities to be with yourself and do some of this work that's necessary for this reawakening, right? We do have to do the work of that, which is seeing those limitations, allowing those to be surrendered so that we can come into greater actualization of our true selves, higher selves, soul, spiritual potential, whatever. But it's saying that when we have this time alone, if there is more time alone, that's a time to do some self-discovery work, but it's also an opportunity to see what matters and what we truly value. And it's also an opportunity to really enjoy and experience life right here in the present moment. It brings so much simplicity. It brings focus. So what you need to know is anything that you want or need is right here and already with you, and or you have the capability, the two hands, the friend to call, the tools, or whatever it is you need to do what you need, right? So if you might be saying, I don't have everything I need, you have the tools, you have the hands, you have the voice, you can trust that you have what you need. And if you don't, that you have what you need to get what you need, okay? What else do you need to know? Okay, so there's going to be opportunities here over the year, again, to really recognize who you are on the inside, beyond limitation, beyond the fear narratives of the world, beyond conditioning, what you were taught, what you were told, what you inherited in your family. So you're going to have opportunities to really see into the depths of you. And so remember when you have any kind of emotional response or emotional reactivity. Again, this reading is coming to be, it's very clear it's focused on that growth aspect, again, because this awakening really wants to integrate inside of us and then on this planet. So I think that's why it's focusing on all of this. But it's saying when you have an emotional trigger or an emotional reaction, there's an intensity to it. So not just the kind where you get annoyed and it leaves, but the time where you're just like, whoo, ferocious, and it feels maybe overwhelming or all-consuming. Remember, there is something being offered here, okay? Something wants to be revealed, something wants to be known, something wants to be realized, something wants to be heard or nurtured. It's an opportunity to look at our inner child and how it wants to be held or nurtured or what it needs. It's an opportunity to look at our needs. Are we meeting our needs? Do we have unmet needs? There's an opportunity here to be informed by those experiences and make a change based on that trigger or emotional reaction. So again, more opportunity for self-growth, and remembering that trigger, whatever it arises within us, is again another limitation that does have the potential to grow and expand its capacity for more love. But that's going to require us to look at it differently, interact with it differently, and then make new choices. Okay, so that's going to look different for each and every one of you, but and I would even dive in deeper, but we are limited on time today. So if you do like this kind of reading, I do want to let you know I have a YouTube channel called Wise Woman Television with Erity Green, and I do tons of these group readings and pick a card readings on there that do get a little bit more specific in the event that you feel like you don't get exactly what you need here today, because we are limited on time and we have a big group, and I want to make sure we get through at least what's here. So again, remembering to follow your own path, stay centered in your own heart, focusing on yourself, your life, your family, and your present moment. There's really not a whole lot of reason to be looking out at the world stage and making any kind of decisions or choices based on what you're seeing out there. That can be smoke and mirrors, right? That's like a big theatrical performance of everyone's subconscious BS just coming up right before us. And it's like, that's a lot to look at, but what I know I can do is focus on me. And what I know I can do is make changes in my life. And know what I can do is give myself even more love and focus on love and hang around with my family and love my family. So, right, you have opportunities here to stay focused on you and to trust. There are going to be opportunities in 2021 to remember to trust and remember to turn to your own path, and remember that this is an opportunity for growth and grounding some of these lighter energies or frequencies of this awakening into your life and onto this planet. Now, remember, this is a rebirth happening, and that's what wants to come through. And I know I am only showing some of the cards, and that's because I'm just following the lead here and following the flow. But this is saying it's all part of the divine plan. This is all part of the divine plan, the greater destiny of things unfolding, things coming into play, things leaving, things showing up. All part of the divine plan. There's nothing to worry about. There's a greater rebirth that's happening. I think those of us who are on the path are well aware of that. So just this reminder of, because this is in the row of what you need to know, is that this is all part of the divine plan, and so you can trust. It's what you came here for, okay? And again, last but not least, more opportunities to release yourself from the bondage of any ideas of victimhood, lack, scarcity. Now, I am one, again, a grounded earthling here, who it's very real to be traumatized and to be victimized in this life. That's not something that we discredit or discount or disregard. We got to do the work to move through that, to navigate it consciously, to create safety, to do the healing work, to get the support to do the healing work. That's not something to overlook. However, it's saying that there is a bondage there such that some of us get stuck there. So we have the victimization experience, or we experience the trauma. And oftentimes when we are in bondage, we don't even know it. So there is an opportunity. What do you need to know for 2021? Again, this is an opportunity to release that, to give that over to God, to do whatever work you need to do, or make the choices you need to make in order to let that go so you can move on, and you're able to then really ground some of these lighter energies that are coming through for you. So a lot of times we see the messaging on the other side that's so radical, earthly based human, that it's like, you don't have to let it go. You don't have to move on. That's true. And yet you all want to. You want to. You have grander dreams. You have a bigger destiny. You're supposed to play a really big role in this awakening in your life and on this planet. You're supposed to live with love and wealth of all forms. You are meant to be a vessel for spirit, which is infinite energy and thus infinite whatever, right? So whatever it is you want, you are meant to experience, you are meant to create. And those are things that you're aware of that, are part of your destiny, or you very explicitly want those things. And it's saying it's difficult to actually create or come by or experience those things when we're holding ourselves in bondage to victimizations of the past, to our pain and suffering of the past, to our roles and identities of the past, to our limitations of the past. 2021 sounds like the ultimate reckoning for releasing all of these limitations or any limitations that are preventing you from being your authentic self, really owning your personal power, standing in your purpose path or purpose work, and just essentially doing and being what you came here for, because you are meant for a grander future, for a larger destiny, for a bigger calling. You're meant for that. And so anything in the way of that, it's going to be showing up one way or another in 2021. Now, for some of you who have already been on the path for some time, I feel like 2021 is your year. Like things are blowing up and taking off. And finally, it's like, boom, you got that grand finale all at once. And you're like, yes, this is my year, finally. And then some of you are going to be going through that deeper shadow work of, again, taking a look at those limitations, what needs to go, what you'd like to stay, so on and so forth. If you need the support to do that kind of work consciously, please get it. All right. There's however many other facilitators alone within this event, but most definitely when you are ready, right? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Manifestation doesn't work the way that we think it does oftentimes in a lot of our communities where it's just boom, poof, I think about it and it lands. No, we make a decision and then oftentimes an opportunity, a person, place, or thing shows up that then we have to say yes to. So we have to take the leap, and it usually requires a commitment and investment of ourselves to fully actualize and bring about, because we're here to build on planet Earth. So if you need the support with any of that, please do so. Please get that. Okay, so now let's get into advice, then we're going to get into outcomes because we only have 8 minutes and I want to make sure that I get to all of these for you. So advice is, again, supporting yourself to not subscribe to those kind of lower end or base or dense emotions, whether it's anger, disgust, guilt, fear, whatever. And these aren't wrong. These aren't bad. We already talked about what we can do with these emotions. They're informing us. They're revealing something. They're showing us a limitation that wants to expand into love. It's showing us a memory or an experience in childhood that makes us feel like a victim. And we want to actually come into our own experience of victory and from a place of empowerment. Okay, so there are opportunities here for growth, and you will continue to have the opportunity to subscribe to fear, base emotions, density, 3D world, all that stuff, or you're going to have you have the choice to choose new earth, higher frequencies, more joy, more love, more positivity. And it's going to require you, again, to opt out of that old stuff and opt in to the new, because this is where your legacy lies. It's a letting go of an old identity. It's a letting go of an agreement to pain, an agreement to suffering, an agreement to limitation, an agreement to conditioning. Some people, and you might even have experienced this in your own family or even in yourself, ultimately we do get some payoff from some of our limitations. So some of us might have siblings or family members who kind of live off of the other family members, right? So essentially that quote unquote victimhood does pay off for them because they're able to live freely without a whole lot of responsibility. Now, if they were to do that deeper inner work like we've talked about here, they might see that they have a fear of responsibility or a fear of success, or perhaps they're self-medicating and is trying to escape from pain and suffering from their childhood or early adulthood. So of course they have their own work to do to really discover what that is, but I'm offering that example because this is the opportunity. 2021 is the opportunity to let go of this stuff once and for all so that you can stand in your legacy. And this isn't just your legacy individually, it's a legacy for all. For one and for all. And again, the advice is, remember, this is the divine unfolding, right? Everything is in right order. Everything is perfect. It doesn't mean that human experience doesn't happen here on a human planet. Things are going to happen. And we can find ways to work through them, process them, and navigate them in conscious, intentional, and loving ways as best we can. That's a lot of self-nurturing and self-support. That's locking arms with people who love us and loving them. It's giving and sharing in all the ways that we can and that we are able. It's receiving so that we can give more, so that we are able to give more. So remembering that all of this is perfect in the sense that This is a part of the divine plan, a part of the divine orchestration. Everything is always in right time and right order, okay? There's really no concern or worry about things not being right or something going wrong or whatever, because the more we attend to that, right, the more we're subscribing into that old mentality, that old paradigm. This world doesn't have to be the school of hard knocks, all right? So we can keep subscribing to that, or we can subscribe elsewhere. I'm going to try to subscribe elsewhere. What I mean by try is practice, right? We have the opportunity in every moment. When we wake up in the morning, we have a choice as to whether or not are we doing the old thing again, doing the old paradigm again, doing the old behaviors again, the old relating patterns. Are we choosing fear and depression today? Some of these things, again, are long-standing. You might need support with it. And there does come a time, too, where we are still choosing it. And when you finally get yourself to that place where you can choose, remember, you have the choice to choose otherwise. So the outcomes. Okay, so the outcome is the destiny that we foresee, that we're all working toward, that each of us are working toward both individually and collectively, it comes about. But trust that it comes about through some consistent action and effort. So essentially it feels like there is a period, and I do try to use my words consciously, which can make things interesting since it's, it's a flow of words that wants to come through. But this is the picture here, and it says defend to the end the worthwhile, and it's saying there's going to be some effort here, there's a commitment here, there's consistency. This is a labor of love, let's put it that way, bringing about this new earth, bringing about these new energies, supporting our own growth and the growth and awakening of this planet is going to be a significant labor of love. But the one thing and only thing it requires of you time and time again is seeing beyond illusion, seeing beyond falsehood, seeing beyond fear, seeing beyond the smoke and mirrors, seeing beyond what appears to be true but is not true. Oftentimes, evil doesn't come through evil, with an ugly look on its face. Evil walks in with a smile on its face. Okay, so what I also want to share here is that message of discernment. And again, what you see on the world stage is going to make it difficult for you to really truly discern truth. That's why this says if you ever question something, or if you need something, or if you're feeling fearful or whatever, go back to the truth. Go back inside, and if you're having trouble doing that, get the support you need to get back in there and listen to the truth of your own inner voice, your own wisdom. Because you came here at this time, and it feels like, again, that spiritual awakening is happening. So your intuition and that inner voice and your inner wisdom is going to become clearer and clearer for you. Again, you have to have the ability, you guys, we keep seeing this, look, to see beyond what's in front of you, beyond illusion, life beyond death. Seeing the truth beyond illusion is going to be so important. It's like the Wizard of Oz when you have the wizard behind the curtain. Most people who look at the curtain are going to see a curtain. There's a small minority right now on the planet that would see that curtain and say, they'd feel it. They'd say, something's going on behind that curtain. There's something up. And then some people might have enough discernment to say, I think there's something suspicious going on behind that curtain. Not just like a child playing, but something funky. Or maybe if it is a child playing, they're able to say, it feels light and it feels innocent back there. Something good's happening behind that curtain. Meaning, you have an opportunity to start attuning yourself, really focusing on the intuition, your energetic sensitivity, and being clear and able to see beyond illusion and to really recognize truth when you see it, so that you are essentially invincible, unstoppable, and you can then always act from a place of personal power and from any source of motivation you choose, such as love. You're going to be able to stand in that place because you're able to see truth or untruth for what it is, and thus you can behave not based on that stimulus, maybe the lie or the smoke and mirrors or the illusion. You can focus and make a choice based on that heart response. Okay, so the final card here and the final outcome is the big, bold vision. This is what's coming through, right? So all the things that we've dreamt of, all the things that we've been sort of whispered or told to or whatever, these inklings of things to come and the heaven on earth and the new age and the new earth and all these things, these are coming through, right? It's going to be a labor of love. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to require consistent work on our part to bring this through, but it is coming. And so our role, again, is not allowing the energy of stress or fear or these denser emotions to get in the way of what we actually came here to do. Remember, anything that comes up is in service to the greater vision. It just has to be looked at, explored, and do with it what you choose once you get to that place, okay? Is it something to be surrendered and released? Is it something to be owned and integrated? Is it something that you recognize just as a part of you, but you're making new choices from here. You get to decide how you look at those things. However, what comes up in the way is the way, right? So what's coming up means it's an opportunity to explore and expand more deeply into love, which brings about the legacy, the new vision, and the new earth. So that's 2021 for you. And I do want to let you know, again, I have a YouTube channel that has more readings, Wise Woman Television. Of course, you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. And I so appreciated being here with you today. Thank you.